So I took to Instagram and also to YouTube, and I asked all of you what questions you had for me regarding low budget cameras. That's kind of what I wanted to keep this Q&A centered around. So if you did ask me a question and I didn't get to it in this video, it's probably because it wasn't really regarding low budget cameras. So I'm gonna try to keep it centered on that. It just kind of helps me keep one theme for these videos. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So Vid asks, I'm shooting 4K with my G7 and I want to buy a second body on a budget, another G7 or GH4. And if it was up to me, I would probably go with the GH4. The GH3 is the camera that I'm using right now, and the GH4 is kind of like an upgrade to this camera. And the GH4 offers 4K, obviously, but it also gives you a headphone jack, weather sealing. You can get Vlog on that camera if you want. So the GH4 is definitely more of a prosumer type camera, whereas the G7 is a little bit more of a consumer camera, even though it gives a really good image. So if you had the money, I would say go for the GH4. So this question is by Sam Jordan Photography, and they ask, do you think 4K is necessary? Now, I have talked about this subject a little bit before in a different video. You can check that out right up there, but I definitely don't think the 4K is necessary. It is really nice to have though if you need it. So if you do have a client that wants 4K, then you have the option to shoot in 4K. But for me, I have built my entire channel using 1080p cameras. In fact, most of my videos on this channel have been filmed with this little Panasonic GH3, which is what you're seeing me on right now. So you definitely don't need 4K if you just want to make YouTube videos and stuff like that. Even doing client work, like I've shot all of my paid work on a Panasonic GH3 and none of my clients have seemed to mind. So I definitely don't think it's necessary, but it is nice to have. All right, this question is by Cesar DDV, and he asks, hi Nigel, what's your best version of a poor man's camera, lens, and mic? I did a version of what he's asking for in this video right here. It's probably my most popular video. I made a little Canon EOS M video rig, and back then, I really liked the Canon EOS M. Even now, I still feel like the Canon EOS M can produce a pretty nice looking image for how old and cheap it is. But now if I had to build a poor man's camera again, I would probably go with like a hacked Panasonic GH2. I'd do like the Apocalypse hack or something like that, or the Driftwood. I'd go with whichever hack gives me as much bitrate and as much like information as I can possibly get, because the GH2 can produce a really amazing image when it gets hacked. And I'd probably go with some cheaper Panasonic lenses, like maybe the 14mm and the 20mm. That's probably what I would go with for a poor man's camera. I'm probably using, you know what, I'm probably using a poor man's camera and lens combo right now. I mean, I have the DJI 15mm f1.7 on there right now, which I got for like $200 on eBay. The GH3 I bought used on eBay for like $300, and then I'm using my Comica VM10 for my audio. But you know what? I'm kind of getting tired of being here in my studio, so let's take a walk. Well, that fall kind of sucked. Wasn't even trying to do anything. So Eric Grammer asks my opinion on the A6300 by Sony, and I have a couple of questions that are asking about the A6400. Now, I haven't had very much experience with the A6300, but one thing I do know about that camera is that it overheats a lot. Even with all the firmware updates, it still is just, it overheats way too much for me. And since I not only film in hot places, but a lot of the times I do interviews that last quite a long time, I can't have a camera that's overheating on me. So that's why the A6000 series cameras haven't really appealed to me that much. Right now, I mean, this GH3 that I have doesn't overheat. It has a flip out screen so I can see myself, and it has a mic jack and everything that I needed to have. So that's why I've stuck with Panasonic for as long as I have. Yeah, I bet I could wall ride this thing. All right, back in my house. So all these questions are gonna be from the YouTube community page. I asked on there what questions you had about low budget cameras. So this first one is from Danielle Amondolini, and they're asking, I have a Canon SL1. It's perfect for photos, but it has some serious shortcomings for video. How can I maximize results? Honestly, I would say if you're on a budget, you don't really need to necessarily spend money on gimbals or monitors. I would say one thing that's going to help your video quality straight off the bat is getting better lenses. So if you're not using high quality lenses right now, if it's got like the kit lens or something like that, I would say invest into sharper lenses. You don't have to go crazy. You could get the Sigma 17-50 f2.8. That's a pretty sharp lens for Canon. And I believe the SL1 can be hacked with Magic Lantern, and that'll give you a lot more video features with that little camera. So I would definitely say look into that. I would say investing in glass and maybe lighting is a way better investment than, you know, spending all your cash on a new gimbal or a new monitor or even a new camera. All right, so this question is from Mark's Fishing, and they ask, your original big video was the video about the EOS M. How do you rate that camera today, given you can pick up the body for around 150 bucks? Would it still be a good one for the ultra low budget filmmakers, or is there something better at that price point? Now, honestly, there isn't a lot of cameras at 150 bucks that have all the features that are available within the Canon EOS M when it's hacked. So honestly, for 150 bucks, it's still really hard to beat. The only camera that comes kind of close is the Panasonic G6, but that's still, even on eBay, it's still around 250, which is still an amazing deal for that camera. But with the Magic Lantern hack, it really does make it hard to beat. I definitely wouldn't recommend that camera today, especially if you have more money. I don't think that it's really viable to just spend money on for no reason. If you are a really ultra low budget filmmaker and you really just, you have like 300 bucks, then yeah, getting the EOS M and then investing in some lenses and maybe a microphone could be a pretty decent starter camera, but you are gonna have a bunch of workarounds like battery life, pretty soft video when it comes to just, you know, a recording in the H.264. Yeah, that EOS M is still really hard to beat at 150 bucks if you can find it for that price. All right, so check out this view. So this question is from Matthew Sherlin, and he asks, best cheap skateboarding camera. What is something that has an older look without breaking the bank? Well, as far as filming skateboarding, I definitely like the Panasonic cameras, the GH3, the G6, even the GH4. I would definitely recommend those. If you wanted an older look, you could definitely shoot in 4x3 with a fisheye, and just, you know, shoot in 4x3 and you get that, you know, freaking gunshots. I actually did a little video you can click on right up there where I show my rig that I use to film skateboarding with my Panasonic G6, so you can definitely go check that out for some inspiration on a skateboard filming camera. So this one is from H. Darren, and they're asking, the GH3 has no focus peaking. How do you control the focus and use AF in your room, and what's the ISO value set for your room? So I just use a shutter remote, and that's how I set my focus and start and stop my video. There is a way to customize one of the function buttons on the GH3 to punch in to check focus even when you're using a manual lens. So that's what I have. I think my function 3 button is that. So if I'm using manual lenses, I can punch in and triple check my focus. And since I use lenses that have autofocus, like this DJI 15mm f1.7, I can just set it to face tracking autofocus, and typically as long as your face is lit enough, the contrast detection and autofocus on Panasonic cameras can keep up with, you know, keeping your face in focus, which, I mean, it's not super quick. So yeah, that's what I do a lot of the times when I'm trying to vlog like this, although to be honest, I don't really vlog that much. As far as ISO value, I'm pretty sure the native ISO for the GH3 is ISO 200, so that's the ISO value that I shoot in, and that just gives me the cleanest image. All right, so this last question is from Nate's Film Tutorials, and I don't normally do shout outs on my channel, but I would definitely say if you're into filmmaking and you want to learn more, Nate has a lot of really good informational videos on his channel, so definitely go check out Nate's Film Tutorials. But he asks, what's the best / cheapest camera, best value camera, and then my dream camera? I'd say the best cheap camera is probably, like, if you're talking like image quality for the price, I would have to say the Panasonic GH2. There are cheaper cameras, obviously, like the GH1 is cheaper, the EOS M is cheaper, but as far as actual video quality, the GH2 is really hard to beat. The best value camera, I don't know. You know, part of me wants to say the GH3. GH3 is a really good value camera because it has a lot of pro features, even though it's really old. It has a headphone jack and it has weather sealing. I really like it, so I would say the GH3 is a pretty good value camera. Also, the G7, excellent value. You can get 4K for like 400 bucks with that camera, which is insane. My dream camera, something I haven't really thought about that much. I don't know. I guess it would just depend on what I'm doing in the future. If I was doing a lot more weddings and, like, you know, commercial shoots, I'd probably want more of a cinema camera like the C200. But I mean, honestly, if I'm just doing YouTube stuff like this and even, you know, smaller paid gigs, my GH3 has been the thing that I've been rocking for a long time, and I'm probably gonna keep on using hybrid cameras like this to make my videos. That's just one thing that I really do want to stress is, you know, I talk a lot about cameras on this channel, but your camera doesn't make films, you do. So, you know, the quality of your films is really going to depend on you a lot more than it's going to depend on your camera. That's one thing that I always want to stress is you can get the best camera, the best lights, the best lenses, but it all really does come down to the person behind the camera. So yeah, I just want to encourage you with that. I still use the Panasonic GH3. It's like an 8-year-old camera, which is crazy, but I can still get good images out of it because I know this camera really well. So that's what I would encourage you with. If you have a camera, learn it really well and upgrade things like your lenses or your microphone before you know, throw away the camera and think that getting a new one is going to change your life, because you'll get bored of it after a month. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, it'd be really cool if you hit the like button. You can click right over here if you want to check out some of my other videos. Subscribe if you want to, but until next time, I'll see you all later. Bye.